So, we're now on the record, and this is the Kentucky Public Service Commission. My name is Michael Schmidt, Chairman, serving as hearing officer. And with us today is Vice Chairman Kent Chandler by video conferencing. Dr. Talina Matthews has not been able to join us yet, but we believe she will be joining in a few moments. And to the extent there's anything she may miss, she will watch the video of this hearing and will participate in today's decisions. Today's hearings are for the purpose of taking evidence in the following cases. 2020-0033, Taylor Brothers Holding Company, alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.49112. 2020-00045, Ron Ross, for alleged violation of KRS 367.4911, subsection 1, subsection A. 2021-0032, Schroeder Construction Inc., for alleged violation of KRS 367.4911, 1, subsections 1A. Case 2021-00036, Allan Craig, for alleged violation of KRS 367.4911, subsection 1A. Case number 2021-0069, Ben Hodges, for alleged violation of two statutory provisions, which are KRS 367.4911 1A and KRS 367.4911 subsection 10. And last, L&N Utilities, LLC, for an alleged violation of KRS 367.491110. The Public Service Commission has been authorized by KRS 367.49176, subsection 6, to enforce and assess civil penalties provided for in the Act, the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, and has been provided the ability to act and to seek injunctive relief for any violation that results in damage to an underground facility used to transport gas or hazardous liquid, subject to federal pipeline safety laws as set out in 49 U.S. Code Section 60101 et sec. At this time, I'll call the docket to see if any of the parties are present. First, 2020-00033, Taylor Brothers Holding Company. Is anyone present on behalf of Taylor Brothers Holding Company? We'll call the entire docket and then come back and start with Taylor Brothers Holding. 2020-00045, Ron Ross. Is Mr. Ross here, or anyone on behalf of Mr. Ross? 2021-00032, Schroeder Construction Inc. Is anyone present on behalf of Schroeder Construction Inc.? 2021-00036, Allan Craig. Is Mr. Craig present, or is anyone present on behalf of Mr. Craig? 2021-00069, Ben Hodges. Is Mr. Hodges present, or is anyone present on Mr. Hodges' behalf? And last, L&N Utilities, LLC. Is anyone present on behalf of L&N Utilities, LLC? It appears that, at least so far, and it's 9:16, no one on behalf of any of the respondents is present. So we will start at this time with taking evidence in case number 2020-00033, Taylor Brothers Holding Company, for the alleged violation of Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911 subsection 2, which provides locate requests are valid for 21 calendar days from the date of the initial request. On behalf of the, since no one is here on behalf of the respondent, on behalf of Division of Inspections, would counsel please identify herself and her witnesses?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Tina Frederick on behalf of the Commission's Division of Inspections. Today we'll be calling Eric Tout from the Division of Inspections, Jim Collins from Duke Energy, and A.J. Ray from PRG.
Now, I've looked at the file, and it appears that Taylor Brothers Holding, Inc. has responded. They not only have responded by sending a letter setting out their position, but they have been served with process. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, they have, and evidence of that has been filed into the case record.
Okay, thank you. At this time, Ms. Frederick, then you may proceed with calling your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. DOI calls Eric Tout.
I see that Commissioner Matthews has now joined us. Mr. Tout, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Frederick, you may ask.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Terry Wilkey,
And Mr. Tout, where are you currently employed?
the Kentucky Public Service Commission,
And what are your job duties with the Commission?
to investigate underground damages to gas facilities.
Are you familiar with an incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility that took place on August the 28th, 2019 at 2344 Amsterdam Road, Villa Hills, Kentucky in Kenton County?
Yes.
Did you
Chairman.
investigate this incident?
Yes.
Chairman, Ms. Frederick,
Yes.
we can't hear anything of the witness at all.
Okay, you may have to speak up. Candace, I don't know if no one can hear the witness outside of the hearing room, apparently.
We can hear a faint voice, but it sounds like the microphone may not even be turned on in the witness box.
Mr. Tout, why don't you speak up or say your name into the microphone closely?
Eric Dow.
Could you hear that?
No, it sounds like mumbling. We can't hear anything.
You're gonna have to speak really clearly.
You may have to shout, Mr. Tout.
Well, and Chairman, can I just ask? We can't. I don't think a person could holler with the plexiglass around it. Maybe he could take a seat at where the utility company attorneys sit, because, like I said, it's not picking them up at all.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
You're going to have to, you do have a soft voice. You really need to speak up.
Okay.
But I try to sit here. I don't know if maybe we can get Anthony or somebody in here to see if we can get a microphone to work.
A text message.
Barring that, come up here and sit beside me and see if you can be heard. I'm sure there's about 6 feet between Miss Frederick and the next seat. I don't know if that microphone works or not.
We can try.
Why don't we try it? Why don't you go over and sit beside Miss Frederick? And we know her microphone is operative.
It's unplugged.
It's unplugged. Wait a minute, the
That might
microphone
fix
on the witness stand has been unplugged.
I'm gonna ask you to come in here, Chairman.
We need to take a break for just a second, maybe.
Chairman, in the meantime, I'll just let you know that I finally managed to get in and I can actually hear. It only takes
Is it
3
still not
devices
working?
to do all
I
that.
don't know.
Good.
Speak loudly into the,
Can you hear me?
apparently not.
Is that green?
No.
It's not green.
No.
If it's not lit up, it's not on.
And Tina should be on screen. The video should be remoted to her. It's not.
We can hear Mrs. Zachary better than we can hear.
Yeah.
Mr. Talent?
We may have to violate social distancing requirements and huddle up here in order to get this testimony, but we'll do whatever's necessary.
Is that one green over there?
Yeah.
We think we have found a microphone that works.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, Mr. Tapp, please speak up. We think that microphone works, but Lord only knows. Would you want to begin your questioning again? Apparently none, the witnesses or the commissioners couldn't hear.
Just state your name for the record, please.
Eric Tout,
Where are you currently employed?
Kentucky Public Service Commission,
And what are your job duties and responsibilities?
to investigate underground damages, gas facilities, and hazardous materials.
Okay. Are you familiar with an incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility that took place on August 28, 2019 at 2344 Amsterdam Road in Villa Hills, Kentucky in Kenton County?
Yes,
Did you investigate this incident?
yes I did.
Okay. Ms. Rhodes, could you please bring up the investigation report for incident number 32006? Is there any way to make that report a little bit larger? Okay. If you've got that as big as you think you can get it, just scroll through it a little bit. Mr. Tout, this appears to be a 95-page document. Will you describe its contents and then tell us if it appears to be a true copy of your investigation of this incident?
Yes, it is a copy of my investigation report and the attachments with that, which include the original report from the operator, the damage report, locate tickets, a response from Mr. Taylor with attachments, email to and from Ms. Matei of Duke Energy, an email from Mr. Collins, and an additional email from Mr. Collins of Duke, and the PRG recovery notes, locate tickets, which and claim support package, and the PRG photographs.
This document has previously been filed, and Chairman, I would move that it be marked and entered as DOI Exhibit 1.
Sustained.
Thank you. Mr. Tout, can you describe your investigation for us?
The investigation involved the company of Taylor Brothers Holding, and regarding a damage to a 2-inch plastic gas main with a backhoe, and more specifically the excavator or Taylor Brothers Holding failed to renew their locate ticket, and they were operating on an expired locate ticket.
Okay. So they had a ticket in the past, but it was no longer valid. Is that correct?
That's correct. They had several tickets, and none of them were valid
Okay.
at the time of the damage.
What was the most recently expired ticket number?
19-07-26-08-01.
And when was that ticket submitted?
It was initiated on 7/26/2019.
And when did the ticket expire?
The ticket expired 8/15/2019. That was within or past the 21 days.
Okay. So how many days expired was it at the time of the damage?
13.
Did the underground facility that was damaged contain natural gas at the time of the damage?
Yes.
And what provision of the Underground Facilities Damage Prevention Act did you determine was violated?
KRS 367-4911, Section 2, locate requests are valid for 21 calendar days from the date of the initial request.
And in conjunction with this incident, was a demand letter issued by the Division of Investigations?
Yes, it was.
And what was the result of that?
No response.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I have no further questions for this witness.
Commissioner Matthews, do you have any questions of this witness?
I'm not sure you can hear me, can you?
Yes.
Success. I don't have any questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chairman Chandler, questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions. You may call your next witness.
Thank you. Your Division of Inspections would call A.J. Ray.
Mr. Ray, will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Frederick?
Thank you. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Alexander James Ray III,
Thank you. And Mr. Ray, by whom are you employed?
Project Resources Group, or PRG.
And what are your job duties with PRG?
I am the Director of Operations for our Power and Gas Division.
Okay. And how are you connected with this incident that took place on August the 28th, 2019?
Our company performs all third-party damage investigations and recoveries on behalf of Duke Enterprise. This damage was investigated by our company as well as recovered.
Did you personally participate in this investigation?
No, ma'am.
Did you supervise this investigation?
I supervised the regional manager.
Are you familiar with the investigation report that was produced by your company and sent to Duke Energy, which was then forwarded to the Public Service Commission?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Ray, are you familiar with locate ticket 19072608001?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us whether the incident of damage that occurred was within the scope of that ticket?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Thank you. And the underground facility that was ultimately damaged in this incident, can you tell us if it was marked and located as a response to locate ticket 19072608001?
Yes, ma'am. There were marks on the ground placed, which were documented. That date would be 7/30 of 2019 at 14:23 p.m. There were marks in place for the damaged facility at that time, which was conducted via positive response for the requested locate ticket.
Okay. Do you have any evidence, photographs, or documents that you could present to the Public Service Commission to evidence that fact?
Yes, ma'am.
And what would those be?
The pre-excavation, or as commonly referred to, pre-dig photographs taken by USIC, the locate vendor contracted on behalf of Duke Energy to perform the locate ticket request for the Kentucky One Call Center. Those pre-excavation or pre-dig photographs are compiled and part of our claims investigation packet or support packet.
Thank you. Ms. Rhodes, could you please display the first of a series of photographs that were provided to us by PRG this morning?
And for the record, Ms. Frederick, those are included in the report that's already a part of the commission record that you just introduced as as the Division of Inspection Exhibit 1.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Honecker. They are. Unfortunately, the way that we have them is not, the resolution is not as good as the photographs that you provided, and I think we might be able to see what we need to look at a little better on the photographs that you have. But yes, these are included in the 95-page investigation report. Thank you.
And for the
You're
record,
welcome.
I'd like to note that Ms. Honaker is counsel for Duke Energy Kentucky, Inc., and is sitting in on the proceeding because Duke witnesses have been subpoenaed to testify. You may go on.
Thank you. Mr. Ray, can you see the photograph that's currently being displayed?
Yes, ma'am. And just for the record, these are simply 4 examples. There are approximately 68 photographs for the pre-excavation or pre-dig photos taken by USIC. I provided 4 specific photographs this morning, 2 of which are pre-excavation or pre-dig photos, and 2 of the subsequent 2 are investigation photographs taken by our investigator at the time of damage, which are simply trying to reference landmarks.
This particular photograph that we're viewing now, is this a pre-dig or post-dig photograph?
Pre-excavation. If you scroll down, there will be a timestamp as well as the ownership from USIC per the locate request.
Ms. Rhodes, if you could do that for us, please. Mr. Ray, could you read that timestamp, please?
Yes, ma'am. 7/30/2019 at 14:23:54 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
And tell me what this photograph reveals about the incident of damage that took place on August the 28th, 2019.
These photographs are attached to the requested locate ticket, which was previously mentioned. This indicates the underground facility, which will be a gas facility, being that there are yellow marks. This is taken from a distance going in the direction towards where the damage took place. If you scroll up, you can reference landmarks. The difficult part being that if you go all the way to the top of the photograph, the difficulty of this damage was the time distance between the locate ticket having positive response and the underground facility being located, comparative to where the date of the damage occurred, being that the landscape had changed so dramatically and locate marks had been disturbed. If you reference, there is a new construction building in the upper left-hand corner of that photograph, which would be referenced as a landmark, as well as the tree line in the background, which the following photograph, you can reference those landmarks in, which the next photograph would be our investigator's photo taken at the time of damage.
Thank you. Ms. Rhodes, could you please display the next photograph in this series? Mr. Ray, is this the photograph that you were referring to a moment ago?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you read the time and date stamp on this photograph?
August 28, 2019 at 2:15 or 14:15:35 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
And can you explain, please, how this photograph relates to the damage that happened on August 28th?
Yes, ma'am. So this was taken at the time of damage by our PRG investigator who had responded 45 minutes after being notified of the damage taking place. On the far left-hand corner, you can reference the new construction building. And again, this is one of many photographs, but this photograph has a very clear depiction of that referenced tree line in the background. By comparing the pre-excavation photos and the tree line as well as the new construction building, you can clearly see that this is within the direction and pointing towards that marked facility. In the very center of this photograph, it's fairly blurry, but if you zoom in or squint, as I have to, you can see a yellow damage cone. That is the point at which the damage took place. You can also, in this photograph, see that there are no indication of locate marks on site, being that those locate marks had been destroyed. Upon our arrival to the investigation, our investigator noted that there were no indications of locate marks on site for any underground facilities, including the damaged utility owned by Duke Energy.
And the notation on your report that there were no locate marks, Was that intended to state that there had never been locate marks?
No, ma'am. It was that there were no locate marks on site upon his arrival, which is an initial finding that upon his arrival to investigate the damage, no locate marks were present. That could mean that there were accurate locate marks at one time that had not been protected. There could have been marks from another locate ticket, but at the time of arrival to perform the investigation, as documented in these photographs, there were no locate marks present for any underground facility, specifically the damaged underground facility owned by Duke Energy.
Thank you. Ms. Rhodes, could you please display the next photograph in this series? Mr. Ray, could you identify this photograph for us and explain its relevance to this damage?
Yes, ma'am. This is another photograph taken from USIC, one of approximately 69. This is further along, which would be kind of a subsequent or a follow-up photograph from the initial one in this package of 4, showing the markings for the underground facility, which this is the approximate area of the damage, which this photograph clearly depicts that there was a marked underground gas line. Again, that tree line in the background, as well as the building material or trusses on the top right, which were could also be referenced in the first photograph as somewhat of a landmark.
Ms. Rhodes, I'm going to ask you to see if you can kind of zoom in a little bit on this photograph. Thank you very much. Mr. Ray, when you say that there are marks that indicate a gas line, are you talking about the, looks like yellow paint on the gravel that we just zoomed in on?
Yes, ma'am. That is a locate mark for an underground gas utility.
Thank you. Ms. Rhodes, could you please display the next photograph, and I believe it's the last in this series? Mr. Ray, could you tell us when this photograph was taken and its relevance to this incident of damage?
Yes, this photograph was taken August 28th, 2019 at 2:15 or 14:10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This photograph was also taken by our PRG investigator upon arrival to the scene, which depicts just left of center in the photograph, you'll see a yellow damage cone. That is the point of damage for Duke Energy's underground utility. This photograph is also using comparative landmarks for the pre-excavation photos, showing that the yellow paint or mark that was placed for the underground gas utility is in the same direction and approximate location as the damage that took place. Unfortunately, being that the excavation site or damage area was so disturbed and locate marks were not present, which is also in correlation to the locate ticket being expired. It is impossible for measurements to be taken. However, the pre-excavation or pre-dig photographs clearly indicate the direction and approximate location comparative to where the damage took place, that there were marks placed for the damage line as depicted in the requested locate ticket previously mentioned.
Thank you. Ms. Rhodes, I would ask you to please display the PRG document that's a part of the record of this case. Mr. Ray, can you identify this document?
Yes, ma'am. This is a receipt or a payment receipt rather from PRG for this specific claim, which would be PRG claim 425337.
And who paid the bill for this, that this receipt reflects?
Taylor Brothers Excavating.
And was this bill in relation to the damage that took place on August 28th, 2019?
Yes, ma'am. This is the specific damage that is being referenced. we simply use a internal PRG claim number comparative to the Kentucky Commission claim number.
So this reflects that Taylor Brothers Holding has paid PRG for the damage that occurred at 2344 Amsterdam Road on August 28th, 2019.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness.
Commissioner Matthews, any questions?
Let me undouble mute. No, I don't have any questions. Thanks.
Vice Chairman Chandler, questions?
Yeah, just on that last item, Chairman. Good morning. That is a payment receipt created by PRG, is that right?
Correct.
But I guess I would ask, do you have any other documentary evidence that shows they paid other than PRG's receipt that that's the entity that paid? Because I get, and I'll clarify with this. It notes in the payment receipt that Taylor Brothers Excavating was responsible for the damages. But do you have anything to indicate that it's Taylor Brothers Excavating that paid this amount for that damage?
We do inside of our claim, we have a claim database, which Duke Enterprise has rights to, and it shows that the check was submitted by Taylor Brothers. At this time, I do not have a physical or scanned copy of the check on hand, but subsequently I could make a request to our accounting department to try and find more, I guess, definitive information or evidence that this was physically provided by or paid by Taylor Brothers Excavating.
Okay. I appreciate it. Chairman, I'll leave it up to you as to, to request that or whatever you'd like to do. That's all I have. Thanks.
Mr. Ray, as I understand it, the area that was previously marked pursuant to the expired dig ticket, the damage actually occurred within an area that had been marked, and I guess according to those photographs, the markings were still on the ground immediately prior to the excavation damage. Is that the sum and substance of your testimony?
That would be correct, Your Honor. There were markings placed sufficient with the locate request. I cannot definitively state when those markings were destroyed, but the markings were placed in accordance with the one call center or locate ticket request, and markings were on the ground on 7/30, which is prior to the damage for the damaged underground facility.
And okay, I guess just the damage occurred within the area that was marked, had been previously marked. Is that correct, to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't have any further questions. Anything else?
Thank you. Nothing further for this witness, but the Division of Inspections would like to call Mr. Jim Collins.
Okay, Mr. Collins, will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Ms. Frederick?
Could you state your name for the record, please?
James G. Collins,
And Mr. Collins, where are you employed?
Duke Energy.
And what are your job duties?
I am the manager of damage prevention.
And are you familiar with this incident of damage that took place on August the 28th, 2019 at 2344 Amsterdam Road?
Yes,
Can you tell us if the area that was marked in response to locate ticket 190-7260-801 was within the scope of that locate ticket? That the area that was damaged was within the scope of that locate ticket? I'm so sorry.
yes, it was.
Okay. Now, there are some mentions in the report that the facility that was damaged had been marked to be abandoned. Are you familiar with that?
Yes,
Was this facility scheduled to be abandoned?
It was scheduled to be abandoned actually the day after the damage occurred.
Okay, but it had not been abandoned at the time that the damage
That is
occurred?
correct. That is correct.
So would that facility have contained natural gas at the time of the damage?
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions for Mr. Collins.
Commissioner Matthews, questions?
No, sir.
Vice Chairman Chandler, questions?
I have no questions.
Okay, Ms. Frederick, anything further from this witness?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ray, Mr. Collins, you may be excused. Thank you very much for your appearance and your testimony. Ms. Frederick, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
I have one question, and it's either from our inspector or perhaps from you. Do we know whether or not Taylor Brothers Construction had any prior violations for which they had made a payment?
We'll have to recall Mr. Tout.
Okay, Mr. Tout, will you please retake the stand? Mr. Tout, do you, based on the records that the Division of Inspections of the Public Service Commission has available, can you tell us whether or not Taylor Brothers Construction or Taylor Brothers Holding Company had any prior violations for which of the Underground Facility Damage Act for which they made a payment, or was this their first violation?
This would make it their second violation.
Their second violation?
Yes. Their first violation was case 31509, or incident 31509. And it occurred on 4/11/2019.
And were they assessed a penalty?
Yes, they were.
And did they make a payment for that penalty?
From what I understand, that yes, they have paid that penalty. It was their first offense, therefore we offered them the reduced penalty and attend the damage prevention program. From what I understand, they fulfilled that obligation.
All right, thank you. I have no further questions. Any of the commissioners, any additional questions?
No questions.
Ms.
Mr. Chairman,
Frederick? Ms. Frederick, anything?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Matthews, did you have a question?
No, this is Allison. Sorry. I just wanted to clarify. Do we need to provide a copy of the check if we can get it that Vice Chairman
Well, you
Chandler
could-
requested?
One, I'm
or-
not sure, I think he testified based on his knowledge. Hasn't been any objection to the testimony. It might not hurt if you had it to go ahead and file it, if you can find it. Many times, I know in these cases that we've had in the past, sometimes they pay, sometimes they don't. Evidence of payment is a declaration against interest, but if they didn't pay it, or if someone else paid it, I'm not sure it would make it has a causative effect. In any event, if you can find a copy of evidence of payment or a photo of the check, then if you send it to Ms. Frederick, we'll file it in the record.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Ms. Frederick?
Nothing further, Your Honor. The Division of Inspections will rest.
All right, at this time, as far as we can tell from the video record, no one has appeared on behalf of Taylor Brothers Holding Company, but I will ask at this time, is Taylor Brothers Holding Company present by virtue of an attorney or some other representative of the company? Apparently Taylor Brothers Holding Company has determined not to attend the hearing, and so if there's nothing else at this time, then we'll close the evidence and we'll begin drafting an order.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, at this time, this hearing is now adjourned. Ms. Honaker and Mr. Ray and Mr. Collins, once again, thank you for your attendance and your help.
Thank you.
Are commissioners back on? Yes, I see. Commissioner Matthews. I think one of these, Mr. Chandler, might have to leave, maybe indicated around 10 o'clock, but he was going to watch the proceedings and participate in the decision. All right, the next case is case number 2020-00045. Ron Ross, alleged violation of Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911, subsection 1A, which provides each excavator or person responsible for an excavation, planning excavation, or demolition work shall, not less than 2 full working days, no more than 10 full working days prior to commencing work, notify each affected operator of the excavator's intended work and work schedule. Contacting the applicable protection notification centers shall satisfy this requirement. At this time, is anyone present on behalf of Ron Ross, or is Mr. Ross himself present? Okay. Judging from the silence, it appears that Mr. Ross is not present, and no one has appeared on his behalf. Would counsel for PSC Division of Inspections please identify herself and the witness or witnesses who are present on behalf of the division?
Yes, Your Honor. Tina Frederick on behalf of the Commission's Division of Inspections, and the Division of Inspections calls Eric Tout.
Okay. Mr. Tout, before we swear you in, I'd like to ask Ms. Frederick to confirm that Ron Ross has been served with process and is before the Commission by virtue of that service.
Yes, Your Honor. Ron Ross was served on February the 4th, 2021. Evidence of that has been filed into the case record.
All right, thank you. Mr. Tout, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Frederick, you may ask.
State your name for the record.
Eric Tout,
Where are you currently employed?
Kentucky Public Service Commission.
And what is your job?
I'm an investigator of underground gas damages.
Are you familiar with an incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility that took place on April the 8th, 2019 at 5939 North 44th Street in Louisville, Kentucky?
Yes, I am.
Did you investigate this incident?
Yes, I did.
Ms. Rhodes, if you could please bring up the investigation report for incident number 31512. We'll give her just a minute to enlarge that as much as she can and scroll through it just a little. This appears to be a 10-page document. Can you tell us if it appears to be a true copy of your investigation of this incident?
Yes, it does.
Can you describe the contents of this investigation report?
It contains my investigation report, the damage report which was provided to the PSC from the utility, which was Louisville Gas and Electric Company. It also has a supplemental report and with an email and a fax-based investigation or a big tick report, Louisville Gas and Electric invoice,
Does that summarize the contents of the document?
yes.
Your Honor, this has previously been filed and I asked that it be marked as DOI Exhibit 1.
Sustained.
Thank you. Mr. Tout, could you describe your investigation for us?
This investigation involved a homeowner, Ron Ross. He was removing a driveway, sidewalk, and porch with a mini track hole and damaged a half-inch gas service. And no call was made to the protection notification or 811 prior to excavation.
Now, you said that Mr. Ross was the homeowner. Was Mr. Ross, in fact, the owner of the property located at 539 North 44th Street?
Actually, no, he was not. He was doing the work for the homeowner. This report was reported to us as that he was a homeowner, and I later found out that he was not the homeowner.
Okay. And who was the gas operator that made the initial report?
Louisville Gas and Electric.
And they reported to the Public Service Commission that Mr. Ross was the homeowner?
Yes.
Does the report from Louisville Gas and Electric reflect that Mr. Ross was present on the scene when Louisville Gas and Electric investigated this incident?
Oh, I'm gonna have to back up and make a correction on that. It's, on their report to us, it says contractor, so that must have been my mistake, is applying homeowner on there.
Thank you for clarifying that. Does the report from Louisville Gas and Electric, does it indicate that Mr. Ross was present at the time that the folks from Louisville Gas and Electric were on the scene investigating this incident?
Don't believe so, and I believe they identify him as a relative of the homeowner.
Does it appear from Louisville Gas and Electric's report that officials from Louisville Gas and Electric spoke to Mr. Ron Ross?
That doesn't really state who they spoke to. It just says they stated that they did not know they needed to call.
So the report used the pronoun they.
Yes.
In the dig tick investigation that Louisville Gas and Electric subsequently provided to you, does that appear as if someone from Louisville Gas and Electric directly spoke with Mr. Ron Ross?
Yes, and it says that Mr. Ross they identify him as the responsible party.
Okay. And that was a report provided to you by Louisville Gas and Electric?
Yes, and they state in here he did not know he needed to call 811.
Okay.
It was many
Is that
times.
report signed by anyone?
Neil Miller.
And does it give a job title for Mr. Miller?
It just says site investigator signature.
Okay, thank you. Do we know if the underground facility that was damaged contained natural gas at the time of the damage?
Yes.
Yes, we know, and
Yes.
did it contain?
Yes.
Yes, it did, okay. Did you, in the course of your investigation, speak with Mr. Ron Ross?
No, I never was able to make contact with Mr. Ross.
Approximately how many attempts did you make?
At least 4.
Okay. Did you speak with the homeowner?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe that conversation for me?
Spoke to Sarah Ritchie, who was the homeowner of homeowner, and she stated that she remembered work being done. She could not recall who did the work. She said the work was on her driveway, sidewalk, and porch, I believe. And she said that it appeared to have been worked on. She seemed to be a little bit confused about events and names and things of that nature. Therefore, I wasn't able to receive any names of who she may have, or if she contracted somebody to do the work on the home.
Okay. Was a demand letter issued in conjunction with this investigation?
Yes, it was.
And to whom was it issued?
To Mr. Ross.
What was the result of that demand letter?
No response.
Okay. And tell me, why did you ultimately cite Mr. Ross and not the homeowner for this violation?
Due to the fact that the report says Mr. Ross was doing the work, and that the homeowner really didn't have any knowledge other than, yes, work had been done, so therefore I did not feel like the homeowner was really in control or conducting the actual work to be completed, other than she may have contracted them out, or someone else possibly could have contacted about the family because of talking to her. I wasn't uncertain. After speaking to her, I wasn't uncertain on exactly how Mr. Ross was employed.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions of Mr. Tout.
Okay, Dr. Matthews, questions?
Yes, sir.
The one question I have, Mr. Tout, is from Public Service Commission records, do you have any information as to whether or not this is Mr. Ross's first violation for which, or were there other violations for which he acknowledged responsibility and paid a penalty?
It's his first offense. For my knowledge, I believe it was his first, this would be his first offense.
All right, thank you. Ms. Frederick, anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Okay, at this time, I want to ask one more time, is Mr. Ron Ross present, or is an attorney or someone else present on behalf of Mr. Ross who would like to present testimony or make any motion or provide any other information to the commission? All right, no one seems to be present or is present for Mr. Ross, and Mr. Ross is not present himself, so at this time, we will adjourn this hearing, and I see that Mr. Ben Hodges is on the line, so we'll take Mr. Hodges' case next. So, Mr. Hodges, you stay on the line, and you can mute and come back on in a few minutes when I ask you if someone is present on your behalf, okay? So this hearing involving Ron Ross is hereby adjourned, and we will, in about 30 seconds, we'll come back on the line and address Mr. Hodges. All right, Mr. Hodges, let me read the allegations. We'll open the case, and I'll read what the claim is on the alleged violation. I'll ask if you are present, and then you can say yes. We'll ask Ms. Frederick, who is the attorney representing the Division of Inspections, and she'll call the inspector, who will then testify. You'll get a chance to ask him any questions if you want to, and then I will give you an opportunity to testify as well, okay? So,
All right.
So, we are now on case 2021-00069, alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act by Mr. Ben Hodges. Specifically, it is alleged that the violations are KRS 367.4911 subsection 1 subsection A, which says, each excavator or person responsible for an excavation, planning excavation or demolition work shall, not less than 2 full working days nor more than 10 full working days prior to commencing work, notify each affected operator of the excavator's intended work and work schedule. Contacting the applicable protection notification centers shall satisfy this requirement. And KRS 367.4911 subsection 10, which says, when excavation or demolition is necessary within the approximate location of the underground facility, the excavator shall hand dig or use non-intrusive means to avoid damage to the underground facility. All right, at this time, is Mr. Ben Hodges present?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hodges, since you're an individual and not a corporation, so you do not need an attorney, Well, let me ask you, do you have an attorney or someone else with you to represent you in this case, or are you representing yourself?
No, sir, just me.
Okay, thank you. Now, for Division of Inspections, would council please identify herself and the witness or witnesses that she has to testify?
Yes, Your Honor. Tina Frederick for the Commission's Division of Inspections, and the Division of Inspections will call John Goins.
Okay, Mr. Goins, would you please take the stand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Frederick, you may ask.
Would you state your name for the record, please?
My name is John Goins.
And by whom are you employed?
I'm employed by the Public Service Commission.
And what are your job duties and responsibilities?
My job duties are to conduct investigations for any gas line incident that is submitted to the commission, to determine if there was a violation of a statute, and if so, a responsible party for that violation.
Are you familiar with an incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility that took place on August the 28th, 2020 at 387 Oakwood Lane in Litchfield, Kentucky?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you investigate this incident?
Yes, I did.
Ms. Rhodes, if I could ask you to please bring up Investigation Report 42952.
May I ask before we start, Mr. Hodges, do you have a screen available? Can you see this investigation report that's on the screen?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, all right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure you were able to see it. If somehow you have a technical issue, you can't see or hear, if you'll let us know, we'll do what we can to accommodate you so you can have access to all this.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rhodes. If you could scroll through this report, I'd appreciate it. This appears to be a 14-page document. Mr. Goins, can you look at what's being displayed and tell us if this appears to be a true copy of your investigation of this incident?
Yes, it does.
Can you describe its contents?
Yes, it is the summary of my investigation. It is the original damage report submitted to the Public Service Commission by Litchfield Gas Company. It is an email with our 811 system requesting information regarding dig tickets for the location of the damage. It is also several emails that I exchanged with Mr. Hodges. It is a copy of the only dig ticket that 811 could locate, and it is pictures submitted by Litchfield regarding the locate marks and where the damage occurred. And then lastly, it is the demand letter that was sent on September 22nd of 2020 and proof of service, it looks like. It was sent certified.
This has previously been filed, and I ask that it be marked and entered as DOI Exhibit 1.
Sustained?
Thank you. Mr. Goins, can you describe your investigation for us?
Certainly. I received a report from Litchfield Gas Company that indicated that Mr. Hodges, the homeowner, hit the service line to his own house with a mini track hoe. Their report indicated the line had been marked, but the homeowner forgot it was there, and the operator could not locate a dig ticket. I did a search on the Public Service Commission records and discovered this would be the first violation Mr. Hodges had. There was a dig ticket that was issued to Windstream to replace a pole, but Mr. Hodge was not the person who requested it. And this would explain why there were marks on the ground, even though Mr. Hodge did not have a dig ticket. So on September 3rd, I called the number provided for Mr. Hodge and left a voicemail, and then he returned my call and left a voicemail for me. And then, so the next day, I called back and left a voicemail, and I included my email address. And Mr. Hodges called me back, and he felt like he had a dig ticket, so he was going to look for the number. So on September 8th, he sent an email to me No, I sent an email to him indicating this was still a violation and provided the options for resolution and requested his preference. He sent me a response email on Saturday, September 5th that showed a dig ticket. However, that particular dig ticket had expired 65 days prior to the damage. So I sent him a response to that indicating this was a violation, and I asked him how he would like to resolve this. He sent me an email back requesting a phone call. So on September 16th, we had a telephone conversation. And at the end of the conversation, it was my belief that he had agreed to the reduced penalty and remedial training. So I drafted that demand letter and it was sent.
Okay. The reduced penalty and remedial training that you referenced, that's something that the Public Service Commission makes available to people that have had a first violation of the DIG Act?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, does your report or the report from Litchfield indicate whether or not the underground facility that was damaged, whether it contained natural gas at the time of the damage?
Yes, it did.
Thank you. Ms. Rhodes, could you please go to page 5 of Mr. Goins' investigation report? Is there any way you can make that? Oh, that's good. That's good. If we could widen it out so we can actually see the full width of the document, is there a way to do that? Mr. Goins, can you tell us what this document is?
This was the response from Kentucky 811 when I made the request for the dig ticket. And the only dig ticket they could locate was the dig ticket that was sent to Windstream for the installation of a pole.
Okay. Ms. Rhodes, if you could please, could you go to page 9 of Mr. Goins' report? There we go. Mr. Goins, could you tell us what this document is?
This is the dig ticket that I received from Kentucky 811 regarding the location and when it was issued and to whom.
And what date was this particular ticket submitted to Kentucky 811?
July 6th, 2020.
And by whom was it submitted?
Warren Rural Electric.
Okay. And how many days expired was this ticket at the time of the August 28th, 2020 damage?
I believe it was 65 days.
Okay. Now, Mr. Goins, you indicated that you sent a demand letter to Mr. Hodges, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the result of that?
There was no response.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions for Mr. Goins.
Okay, Mr. Hodges, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Mr. Goins? You may or may not. If you do, go ahead, and then after that, or they're finished, I'll swear you in, and you can basically testify on your own behalf and tell us what your, what your position is. Okay? Do you have any questions to ask of Mr. Goins?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. Let me ask a question. Do you, to the extent you may know it, Mr. Goins, so what is Warren Rural Electric? Is that a co-op, or was that associated, as far as you know, with Mr. Hodges? I'll ask him later, but I was just wondering if you knew.
I don't have any knowledge, but when the dig ticket was provided to me, it was for the installation of a utility pole, and I don't know the relation between Warren Electric and Windstream, which was also...
Were there two dig tickets or just one? Was one Windstream and one Warren Electric, or were there two?
There were two issued. The earlier one just had Warren Electric on it, and then 811 was requested to issue another one for the same location, but they were to add Windstream to the ticket.
Okay, thank you. Anything further, Ms. Frederick?
Nothing further, thank you.
All right, Mr. Goins, you may be excused for the present. We'll see, ask Mr. Hodges what he knows. Do you have any other witnesses, Ms. Frederick?
No other witnesses, Your Honor.
Mr. Hodges, will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hodges. I'm going to give you an opportunity to basically tell what happened or what your side of the version of the facts are, and then Ms. Frederick will have an opportunity to ask you questions, and then I may ask you questions, or Dr. Matthews, one of our commissioners who's also on the line, may ask you questions as well. So tell us, Mr. Hodges, and I'll assist to the extent I can in making sure you say everything that you probably need to say. But what happened here? What was going on, and what role did you play in this, or anybody else?
I just was putting in a pool on my own, and I just my plumbers had a mini excavator there, and I was after we'd already put in the pool, I just was digging around, gonna put me in a sump pump, and pretty much I hit the line. I called my buddies down at Litchfield Utilities to come turn it off real quick. They did. I didn't get all my information together. I thought I'd called 811. It probably had been, I guess, 60 some days, whatever it had been. The line was marked. They had come marked it. I didn't. The paint line had been a while, so the paint line was not there. I can tell you, when I hit the dang line, I can tell you, sure it was a scary thing, but I didn't know that. I didn't realize how serious of a matter I guess this is. But anyway, I ended up paying the bill to get it fixed and paying for the gas, and pretty much that's about all I've got on my side.
Okay, let me explain, I guess, before Ms. Frederick asks any questions. It is a big deal. We had recently, within the last probably month, 6 weeks, at least one excavation of a line in a county in eastern Kentucky where somebody was killed. Somebody tried to fix it back without reporting it or something, and then a house blew up. And then so it can be a problem.
I agree. It's very serious. When I hit the gas line, I'm on a piece of equipment. I can tell you it's real serious if you think you're going to get blowed up. But I'm just saying I didn't realize the extreme how serious this is for homeowners, I guess. You know what I'm saying? If that's what I did for a living, anyway, I just
okay, well, I'm gonna let Ms. Frederick ask you some questions, and I'm going to come back to you and talk about something else for a second. Ms. Frederick, cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. Hodges, have you paid Litchfield Gas for the damage done to their facility?
Well, without fibbing to you, I had some rental properties and some other bills and everything I have is on auto pay, and I am 99% sure, but I don't even open my bills, to be honest with you. I know that sounds crazy, but I do think that they did tell me that I know all those guys that they told me that they would be on my bill for a gas bill. So whatever the minimum usage or whatever they thought I would use. So yes, I do think so.
Now, that bill that they told you to expect, was that just for the gas that escaped into the atmosphere, or was that to repair the damage done to the facility itself?
Both. And I didn't get any of this together or nothing like that. I mean, like I say, I'm on auto pay, and they just told me that they'd be sending me a bill for the gas usage, and I don't remember what they told me it would cost to fix it, but I know all those guys up there. We're in a small town, and they did tell me they had to report it to you, to you guys, because that stuff's a serious deal and all that kind of stuff. They had to report it. They said if they didn't, they'd get in trouble or something. So, that's really all the information I know.
Okay. Before you got on the backhoe to install your sump pump, did you call Kentucky 811?
No, I never realized really if I build a few houses even once in a while, even myself, as far as just like hire it done. And I thought if I called 811, I had no idea that you had so many days. You know, if that thing's, in my opinion, if there's a water line or a line going right there, it don't move, so I didn't know you had to recall back, you know what I'm saying? I had no idea. Evidently, that only lasts for so long.
21 days, sir. Lasts for 21 days. Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions of Mr. Hodges.
Commissioner Matthews, do you have any questions for Mr. Hodges?
I don't.
Mr. Hodges, let me ask, I don't know, I haven't seen any of this before, information about a letter of what was offered to you, but were you offered the opportunity to pay like a $250 fine and attend, I guess, a training class or by video or something that the Public Service Commission has for people who are on the first offense?
I believe we'd have to ask John back, but I think I've got something. I believe it was $100 and a class. I would have to come to Frank. He said, being it was COVID online class.
Let me tell you. Here's what apparently they do. Here's for a first violation. Here was the gas line, and the only reason that anybody gets involved is because it's natural gas, and the Public Service Commission, by statute, has to entertain these actions and enforce the penalty provisions in large part because the federal government requires Kentucky to do this, or they'll take over and do it themselves, and nobody wants to be involved with a federal investigator. So here's the deal. Usually when it's a homeowner and a homeowner hits a line, the Division of Inspections offers to reduce the penalty, and the penalty would normally be $250 for not having not having a valid dig ticket, and because it was a gas line, an additional $1,000. So the penalty would be $1,250. But if you agreed to, and I guess they have these, are we doing these now, video?
We are.
They have video where you'd have to watch on your computer for maybe a couple hours or an hour and pay $100. You can save yourself $1,150. And although that time has probably expired, I want to offer you the opportunity to pay $100 and attend a video session. And we have those here, and a lot of homeowners, building contractors, excavators. Before COVID, we used to have a hearing room full of people. So it's not just, there'll be others there, and you'll be identified. They'll take a record so they'll prove that you were actually there. So an order ultimately will be entered. There's no question about violating the act, which will say the following, that there's a fine or a penalty assessed against you for $1,250, but we'll reduce it to $100 if you'll attend this video training. And it's up to you. You can do it any way you want.
Sure, sir. That's what I'll do. I'll just take the $100 and I'll do the training thing.
Okay. Here's what we'll enter an order. I don't know when the next training is. Does somebody know when the next training is?
May 5th,
What time?
9 o'clock Eastern.
Okay. Yeah, that's 8 o'clock Central. You're on Litchfield, I guess, is on Central Time. Is that right, Mr. Hodges?
Yep.
Okay. We're looking now to get the
May 3rd, I'm sorry.
May.
3rd.
The next one is May 3rd. May 3rd.
And then the one after that will be June 7th.
Okay. There's one May 3rd and June the 7th, and they start it's 9 a.m. Eastern, so it'd be 8 a.m. Central Time. And you could make a choice. I know you probably work and have other things to do, but this is the best that we can do under the circumstances. At this time, do you know which one you would rather attend?
That's on a Friday, and the June is on a June what?
what's the June?
They're both Mondays.
Both are Mondays, I think, is that right?
I'm gonna make sure I didn't make a mistake.
That's all right, just, either one's fine with me. June would probably be the best.
May
Okay.
3rd is a Monday and June 7th is a Monday.
June 7th, all right, you'll attend June 7th, that'll be in the order. And I'm sorry you got, you got involved in this and happened, it could happen to anybody. We try to advertise at UK ball games and everything else to try to let people know, and then sometimes they don't understand that your dig ticket expires. So, Mr. Hodges, an order will be entered, and you'll get that probably within the next, week to 14 days. But make sure you attend on June 7th, or I won't have any alternative, but to make sure that the fine is $1,250. And, it's a question of say, well, what if I don't pay it? You'd have to appear in Franklin Circuit Court, because that's where the next place to go is, okay?
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you appeared. We had 6 of these set today, and some of the others don't, and you can't help somebody out if they don't show up. So I'm glad that you did, and I'm sure you're glad
Yes, sir.
that you did too.
I'm sure I could.
All right. All right, thank you, Mr.
Appreciate
Hodges. Appreciate it. You'll get an order in a couple of weeks. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'll just send my money in whenever I get a bill or something.
When you get the order, if you'll send in your check, we'll tell you where to send it to the Public Service Commission, the $100, and then it'll tell you about the video. Now, the order will say, if you don't check in to see this, to this training session, the other $1,150 is due, so you just make sure you need to do that, okay? Don't.
Yes, sir.
All right. If you have any questions, you can call Mr. Goen, or you've got his number or name, or we'll send it along with the order. So if there's any issue, if you came down with something, or somebody passed away in your family, or you had an emergency and you had to reschedule, that would all be possible, but you've got to let somebody know, okay?
I understand, yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Hodges. This matter is now adjourned, and we'll take up the next one. All right. Okay, we are now back on the record, and Mr. Hodges, you're welcome to view the next one if you'd like, or you can, you can sign off or whatever you choose. Next case is case number 2021-00032, Schroeder Construction Inc., alleged violation of KRS 367.4911, subsection 1A, which provides each excavator or person responsible for an excavation, planning, excavation, or demolition work shall, not less than 2 full working days, nor more than 10 full working days prior to commencing work, notify each affected operator of the excavator's intended work and work schedule. Contacting the applicable protection notification centers shall satisfy this requirement. At this time, I would ask if anyone is present online on behalf of Schroeder Construction Incorporated. There does not appear to anyone to be present on behalf of Schroeder. I'll ask again after a Division of Inspection has presented its evidence. At this time, would counsel for Division of Inspections please identify herself and any witness or witnesses whom she expects to testify in this proceeding.
Thank you, Your Honor. Tina Frederick for the Commission's Divisions of Inspections, and we call Mr. Eric Tout.
Okay, Mr. Tout, before you testify, I want to confirm through counsel that Schroeder Construction Incorporated has been served with process in this case and is subject to being present at this hearing. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. We have records that show that the Schroeder Construction Incorporated was served on February the 4th, 2021, and that has been filed into the case record.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tout, please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Frederick, you may ask.
Thank you. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Eric Tout,
And where are you employed?
Kentucky Public Service Commission,
And what are your job duties and responsibilities?
to investigate underground gas damages.
Okay, and are you familiar with an incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility that took place on August 21st, 2019 at 124 Ditto Lane in Vine Grove, Kentucky in Hardin County?
Yes,
Did you investigate this incident?
yes.
Ms. Rhodes, if you could please bring up investigation report for incident 31996. There we go. Thank you so much, and if you could just enlarge that a little bit and maybe scroll through some of it. Now, this appears to be a 39-page document. From what you're seeing on the screen, does this appear to be a true copy of your investigation report of this incident?
Yes, it does.
Could you describe its contents for us?
It contains my investigative report, the damage report that was provided from the operator, Louisville Gas and Electric, the two locate tickets, Dick Tick's facts-based investigation with photographs, the Louisville Gas and Electric field investigative report, photographs and invoices, Mr. Schroeder's email, which is included, and a check, a copy of a check.
Can you tell us if you know if this was the first incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility involving Schroeder Construction Incorporated?
This would be the second. The first one would be incident 31761, which occurred on 6/19/2019.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, how was that investigation and that damage incident resolved?
The best of my knowledge, it was paid and he attended the damage, or someone from the company attended the damage prevention class.
Okay. Can you just describe your investigation and the results of it for us?
This investigation involves damage to a 2-inch gas service, and there was no valid locate ticket at the time of the damage.
Okay. Did the underground facility that was damaged contain natural gas at the time of the damage?
Yes.
And Ms. Rhodes, if you could please go to page 33 of Mr. Tout's report. And if you could just kind of enlarge that a little bit, make it wider so we can see more of it maybe. There we go. Mr. Tout, how did you obtain this document?
It was obtained from Louisville Gas and Electric.
And what is this document?
It's an invoice billing the Schroeder Construction for the damages.
Okay. Ms. Rhodes, if you could show the damage, location, incident, date, and address on that invoice. Mr. Tout, what is the location of the damage on that incident?
Location would be 124 Ditto Lane, Pine Grove, Kentucky, 40175.
And the damage date as it appears on the invoice for the damage?
8/21/2019.
So this does appear to be the invoice for the damage that you investigated?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Rhodes, could you please go to page 39 of Mr. Tout's report? Thank you, that's good. Mr. Tout, could you tell us how you obtained this document?
From Louisville Gas and Electric.
And what is this document?
It is a copy of a check on Schroeder Construction for $651.13 with the invoice number of 201-908-2314.
And that does appear to be the invoice number on the invoice we previously viewed, is that correct?
That's correct.
Thank you. Was a demand letter issued in regards to this particular incident?
Yes, it was.
And what was the result of that?
To my knowledge, no response.
What type of equipment was being used at the time that this damage occurred?
It was not specified in the report, but if you look at the photos that are attached, and I'll be honest with you, if you look at the pictures of the photos, it appears that some type of excavator was being used. I don't think that the equipment that is shown in those photos belong to the excavating company because they weren't on site at the time that Louisville Gas and Electric were present.
Was there a locate ticket obtained by Schroeder Construction at all in relation to this damage?
There was 2 tickets. The first ticket was 1906201196. The second ticket was 1906191318. And
When were those tickets obtained?
the one that ends in 1196 was obtained on 6/20/2019.
Meaning it expired when?
And it expired on 7/10/2019.
How many days expired was it at the time of the damage?
42.
And the ticket that ends in 1318, when was that ticket obtained?
It was initially obtained on 6/19/19. It expired on 7/9/19, and it was 43 days expired.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions for Mr. Tout.
Commissioner Matthews, any questions? I'm not sure Commissioner Matthews is still with us. I have no questions yet to confirm. I guess I was writing something here, Mr. Tout, when you testified. Apparently Schroeder had one previous violation for which it attended the class, I guess, the training and paid a reduced penalty. Is that correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, all right. So this would be its second violation?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I have nothing further. At this time, I would ask if anyone is present on behalf of Schroeder Construction Incorporated. Okay, apparently Schroeder has not appeared, so an order will be drafted, and Schroeder's fine and civil penalty will be $2,000. At this time, I think the court reporter wanted to take about a 15-minute break, so we will go into recess and come back at 5 minutes until 11 o'clock, at which time we will take up the case of Allan Craig and L&N Utilities Company. I think those are the final 2. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Hodges. If you want to come back and watch the others, you're certainly welcome to do so, but we'll be in recess for 15 minutes or until 5 minutes until 11 o'clock. Okay, we're now back on the record after recess, and the next case is case number 2021-00036. Allan Craig, alleged violation of Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911, subsection 1A, which states, each excavator or person responsible for an excavation, planning excavation, or demolition work shall, not less than 2 full working days, nor more than 10 full working days prior to commencing work, notify each affected operator of the excavator's intended work and work schedule. Contacting the applicable protection notification centers shall satisfy this requirement. At this time, is Mr. Allan Craig present, or is any attorney or anyone else present on behalf of Mr. Allan Craig? Okay. Mr. Craig apparently is not present and has no one here on his behalf. So at this time, would counsel for the Division of Inspections please identify herself and any witness or witnesses who may testify in this proceeding.
Yes, Your Honor. Tina Frederick for the Commission's Division of Inspections, and the Division of Inspections calls Eric Tout.
Okay. Mr. Tout, prior to swearing you in, I would like to confirm through Ms. Frederick that Allan Craig has been duly served with process and is before the Commission and should be in attendance at this hearing.
Yes, Your Honor. He has been served, and evidence of that is in the case record.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tout, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Frederick, you may ask.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Eric Tout,
And where are you employed?
Kentucky Public Service Commission,
And what are your job duties?
to investigate underground gas damages.
Are you familiar with an incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility that took place on June the 11th, 2019 at 560 West Martin Road, Campbellsville, Kentucky in Taylor County?
Yes.
Did you investigate this incident?
Yes.
Ms. Rhodes, could you bring up investigation report 31661? Thank you so much. Now, this is an 8-page document, and Ms. Rhodes will scroll through it just a little bit. Can you verify that this is a true copy of your investigation report of this incident?
Yes.
Can you describe the contents of this report for us?
It's the investigation report, which includes the damage report that was submitted to the PSC from the operator, Atmos Energy Corporation. It contains on PVA, Facebook, PVA and Facebook are included in the report, and that pretty much sums it up
Okay.
as what's attached to the report.
Thank you. And this has previously been filed into the case record, and I ask that it be marked as DOI Exhibit 1.
Sustained.
Mr. Tout, can you describe your investigation for us?
This investigation involves the damage to a 3/4 inch service gas line with a backhoe. I believe that they were installing gutter drains, and no call was made to the Protection Notification Center, 811.
Okay. And is this the first incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility involving Mr. Allan Craig?
To my knowledge, yes.
Thank you. And did the underground facility that was damaged in this case, did it contain natural gas at the time of the damage?
Yes.
Now, was Mr. Craig the homeowner in this case, or was he a contractor?
He was a contractor. I'm not sure if this one was a family member or not, can't recall.
The place where he was working was not his own personal home, is
That's
that
correct, it was not.
Okay, did you question the homeowner in this investigation?
Yes, and it does state that it was a family member, Mr. Craig's a family member.
Okay, and tell me why you chose not to cite the homeowner.
Because the homeowner stated that he was not at home, he was gone the week that the damage occurred, and that he was leaving the excavating up to Mr. Craig.
Okay. Did you speak to Mr. Craig during the course of your investigation?
Yes, I did.
And in general, what was the content of that conversation?
Mr. Craig, I believe he stated that no 811 ticket was obtained. He was doing the work for his cousin, and he hit the line with a backhoe bucket.
Okay. Was a demand letter issued in conjunction with this damage?
Yes,
And what was the result of that?
no response.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions for Mr. Tout.
Okay. I have no questions myself, so Mr. Tout, you may be excused. At this time, is Allan Craig on the line? Mr. Craig present, or is there an attorney present, or someone else on behalf of Mr. Craig? All right, Mr. Craig is not present. He's before the commission, so an order will be entered fining Mr. Craig $1,250. We'll now adjourn this case, come back on the record, and take up the matter of L&N Utilities, LLC. All right, we're now back on the record, taking up the matter of L&N Utilities LLC for an alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, to wit, KRS 367.4911 subsection 10, which states, when excavation or demolition is necessary within the approximate location of the underground facility, the excavator shall hand dig or use non-intrusive means to avoid damage to the underground facility. At this time, is anyone present on behalf of L&N Utilities LLC? There being no positive response, I would ask at this time for counsel for the Division of Inspections to identify herself along with any witness who may testify in this proceeding.
Yes, Your Honor. Tina Frederick for the Commission's Division of Inspections, and the Division of Inspections calls John Goins.
Okay, Mr. Goins, before I swear you in, I want to confirm through Ms. Frederick that L&N Utilities LLC is properly before the Public Service Commission by way of having been served with process in this case.
Yes, Your Honor. L&N Utilities was served with process in this case, and evidence of that has been filed into the case record.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Goins, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Ms. Frederick, you may ask.
State your name for the record, please.
John Goins,
And by whom are you employed?
the Kentucky Public Service Commission.
And what are your job duties and responsibilities?
I investigate underground gas facility damages.
Are you familiar with an incident of damage to an underground natural gas facility that took place on January the 18th, 2020 at 1168 Colorado Road in Lexington, Kentucky?
Yes, I am.
Did you investigate this incident?
Yes, I did.
Ms. Rhodes, if you could please bring up investigation report 32413. Thank you so much. Now, this appears to be a 12-page document. Ms. Rhodes is scrolling through it now. Can you tell us if this is a true copy of your investigation report of this incident?
Yes, it is.
Can you describe the contents of this report?
It is the investigation report that I conducted. It is the original damage report submitted by Columbia Gas. It includes a clarification email from Columbia Gas to me, some additional documentation that they provided from their system, their company facilities damage report, and some photographs that were taken during Columbia's investigation of the incident.
Thank you. Can you describe your investigation for us?
Yes, I reviewed Columbia's report that indicated L&N was boring with a locate ticket, and they were within the tolerance zone of a properly marked main.
By tolerance zone, what are you referring to?
Within 18 inches of either side of the underground facility.
Thank you. You may continue.
Columbia clarified they were called out to one address because the customer was out of gas, and then they expanded their investigation and determined there was another line damaged. We reviewed the dig ticket. They had initially reported the company as L&M Utilities, but the dig ticket had the correct company name of L&N. So I called the phone number provided, and it went to a voicemail. While I was leaving the voicemail, I received a call coming from the city in Indiana where this company is based. I called it back, and it went to another voicemail. That was on October 7th. On October 14th, I was able to speak to Mr. Melton, and he acknowledged his employees were responsible.
Who is Mr. Melton?
Mr. Melton is the owner of the company, Shane Melton.
Okay. Now, to the best of your knowledge, are there other damage incidences involving Mr. Melton or L&N Utilities?
At the time of my investigation, there was one other damage, and it had been resolved, and so this was the second violation.
Okay. And you may have mentioned this, but what type of underground facility was damaged?
It was a main line, according to the Columbia report.
Okay. And did that line at the time of the damage contain natural gas?
Yes, it did.
And was the dig ticket obtained by Mr. Melton's company, L&N Utilities, valid at the time of the damage?
Yes, it was.
How was the line damaged?
They were using boring equipment. They were putting some kind of utility line underground and using a boring equipment. And
Is boring equipment considered to be mechanized equipment?
yes, it is.
Was a demand letter issued in conjunction with this incident?
Yes, it was. It was issued on October 15th of 2020.
And what was the result of that?
Well, the result was no response. However, I telephoned Mr. Melton on January 22nd. He stated he had been in the hospital for 51 days and he would pay soon. But since then, I haven't had any communication with him.
January 22nd of 2021?
2021, yes.
Okay, thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions for Mr. Goins.
Yeah, I have no questions either. Commissioner Matthews is no longer with us on the call. You may be excused, Mr. Goins. Ms. Frederick, do you have another witness?
No, Your Honor.
No.
Division of Inspection rests.
At this time, I would once again ask if L&N Utilities LLC is present by means of an attorney or anyone else acting on its behalf. L&N Utilities LLC apparently has decided not to attend the hearing, and therefore an order will be prepared. As I understand it, this is a second violation, so the maximum penalty is $2,000.
Yes, Your
Is
Honor.
that correct? An order will enter against L&N Utilities for the sum of $2,000. Ms. Frederick, I think that are all of the cases that we have this morning. Is that correct?
Your Honor, we actually have one more, but that individual has indicated that they have sent a payment in full for the full amount of the penalty, and they've sent tracking information indicating that that's been delivered. So I don't feel like we need to take evidence in that case.
We won't take that up, and if you find out that somehow that penalty has not been paid or something else has happened, we can assign it for the hearing at June or whenever the next scheduled hearings are. Right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
That time then, this proceeding and is the last one that we have today is hereby adjourned.
Okay, so
Now, we need to go on. Good morning. This is the Kentucky Public Service Commission. My name is Michael Schmidt. I'm chairman of the commission and serving as hearing officer in the cases assigned for hearing this morning. Present by video conferencing is Vice Chairman Kent Chandler and our third commissioner, Dr. Talina Matthews. Today's hearings are for the purpose of hearing evidence in the following cases. Case number 2020-00033, Taylor Brothers Holding Company, alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911, subsection 2. Case number 2020-00045, Ron Ross, for alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911, subsection 1A. Case number 2021-00032, Schroeder Construction Inc., for a violation of the alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911, subsection 1A. Case number 2021-00036, Allan Craig, alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911, subsection 1A. Case number 2021-00069, Ben Hodges, for alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911, subsection 1A, and KRS 367.4911, subsection 10. And last, L&N Utilities, LLC, for alleged violation of the Underground Facility Damage Prevention Act, specifically KRS 367.4911, subsection 10. I will now call the docket. Do we need to do this, or is this enough?
Are you gonna call a specific case?
I thought we already did. You have all that, don't you?
Yes, so it won't be.
Okay, all right.
Just say now we'll go to the first case or something.
Okay, now we will take up the first case, which is case number 2020-00033, Taylor Brothers Holding Company. Is that it? Okay.
Good.
All right.